through to Queen Camel Medical Centre. The best way to get non-urgent medical advice is via Ask My GP. The link can be found on our website. It allows us to get back to you within 48 hours. It also frees up the phone lines for calls that are urgent. If you don't have access to a computer or would like to book a nurse or blood test appointment, then please hold. Thank you. Good afternoon, Queen Camel Medical Centre.
Hello. I wonder if you can help me, please. I have had, you must excuse my speech, my facial muscles have gone, and it is difficult for me to talk now. I have had a letter today, Department of Cardiology, someone called Brett Sutherland. Well, I won't go into details, but it is addressed not to me, but to the doctors, Queen Camel Medical Centre.
Can I just take your name?
Paul Murphy. Paul, P-A-U-L.
Yeah?
Murphy, it's an Irish name, Murphy.
Okay, and what's your date of birth?
The 10th of June, 61.
Okay. Right, so you've received a letter from cardiology.
Yes, the address to Queen Camel, it's presumably a copy that has been sent to me. What I don't, and it's dated 40th of August.
That's right. We've got that letter here.
No, but I don't understand why. I contacted you over a month ago. I believe I spoke to someone called Lisa. And I told you in no uncertain terms that I am not your patient and to remove me from your books. I legally do not have to have a GP, and Lisa told me that would be done. And to make sure, because we all know what lies Queen Camel Medical Health Centre are, I filmed the conversation as a safety. So you get me off your books, and you don't have any contact with them. I am not being under Queen Camel Medical Centre while those scum Hewanses are still there. So I have nothing to do with your surgery. The letter itself is a bunch of nonsense as well. I notice in here that it says Mr. Murphy has paranoid personality disorder. Well, let's check our facts, shall we? After leaving your surgery, I had 3 years of private medical ASMR and mental health help. Private. And I've got all the invoice for it, and Lisa knows this, and in the telephone call, because as I said, I videoed it, she commends me on her. So I don't have paranoid personality disorder. Now I also note it doesn't say that when that scumbag Helen Hewins forced me on the 5th of October 2017 under all kinds of threats that I had to have an urgent medical assessment because there were fears for the children, I passed with flying colours. And when I saw her vermin husband the next Saturday, he refused to discuss that or inform me, we had clear. And it doesn't say here that the harassment we'd received from those two Hewanses over a period of 6 months drove my poor wife into Yeovil District Hospital on the 9th of November 2017 because we couldn't get this report even though the Hewinses had it and knew they were wrong, and she terminated the twin pregnancy she was carrying, as I reported in Yeovil District Hospital. So I think we need to get it on the record. My babies died because of the two Dr. Hewinses, so I have nothing to do with your practice whatsoever. I also note that as you
Mr. Murphy,
also video everything...
Can I just stop you there?
Yes, madam, yes.
Yeah, so you are currently one of our patients.
Well, I don't understand why. I told you a month ago, and I recorded the conversation on video. As indeed did you, I believe. I think you audio record all your conversations. So I should not be there. Just write me off. Just say not known at address, or however you do it.
Okay, let me pop you on hold just for one moment.
Well, I don't wish to be on hold. You've nothing to do with me. I renounce you, as they say in the Bible. He says, 3 times hast thou renounced thou now, and that's enough.
Okay.
You've got to go away and leave me alone. You are no good to me.
Right,
You drove my wife to terminate pregnancies and then refused me medical treatment myself. Nothing to do with you I don't want. When I wanted to see Dr. Jones, because everyone in this village says how wonderful Dr. Jones is, I was threatened by Hewins, and not only, he asked me if I was filming the conversation. Well, as I honestly said I wasn't, but there's a chap behind me who was, So Hewins knew last December, and he didn't deny it when I said that your wife drove my wife to terminate my babies. You won't see anyone but me and a partner, he said, denying me medical treatment. As I said to someone at your hospital, well, let's hope I only have a heart attack on a Monday, a Tuesday, or a Friday afternoon. I didn't jest, obviously. Let's hope I never have a heart attack, Got enough going on with me at the moment.
Okay.
So, how do you normally, what is the normal procedure? I can't write because my hand doesn't work anymore, so I can only do it verbally, I'm afraid.
So what is your query? So do you not want to be a patient at Queen Camelot anymore? Is that what the query?
Yes, I told you a month ago. I am not a patient in Queen Camelot. Considering you don't provide me with medical care, medical attention, medicines, prescriptions, or anything,
Yeah.
And the Hewins refused to issue my heart medication. I had to go to Yeovil Hospital to get that overruled. It's a moot point now, of course, because I can't open the tablets because my fingers don't work anymore. But have I done this the right way? Lisa seemed, she was a lovely lady.
If I could just talk,
I'm so sorry, madam. I do apologise.
Okay. I understand. No, that's okay. I understand your frustration. So, if you would like to change surgeries, you'd have to register somewhere else. So you need to choose a surgery which is within the catchment area of where you live.
Oh, just one. I'm so sorry, madam. I just feel I may save us time if I interject there. I apologise for the rudeness, but I don't want to register anywhere else. My solicitors were around here yesterday. There's nothing left of me now, madam. My legs, my arms, my face is gone, my brain is going as well. Registering another is a moot point. I can't get anywhere. I can't get any medical help, and there's no cure for my condition. There's nothing left to save, I'm afraid, madam. I wish it was otherwise. I would love to live to next year. But anyway, so I don't want another surgery. I just want to sell off everything I can and just see out my days in peace and quiet. But I don't want the Hewins on my books because, as they know full well, I've initiated medical malpractice proceedings, and I don't want them being tipped off off as to what might be coming their way. Not that I really need it, and thanks to the internet I can let the British public know what they're like.
The best thing to do, Mr. Murphy, is all of your concerns need to be written down. So you mentioned that you can't write very well. Have you got any family or friends that will be able to sort of write the letter for you on your behalf?
No, I'm so sorry, madam. No, I don't. I have no one. I have no friends, no family. I've just been left it. Do you know, madam, this is a sidebar here. I was awarded daily care on the 15th of February this year because I couldn't feed myself. I was just living off of jam and I'd scolded myself. I can no longer lift a kettle. A hot drink. What wouldn't I give for a hot drink? But anyway, 15th of February, and I've not had one visit since the 15th of February. Not one care visit. I notice that's not in this letter for the Department of Cardiology. He castigates me for not turning up for appointments, but I can't open my mail. That's why the solicitors were around here yesterday. He opened up mail yesterday, and it was April. It's just been piled high there. And I've just been... So no, there's no one, madam. No. I have no friends, no family. I only have my 2 infant children. They don't live with me, obviously. They live hundreds of miles away. I haven't seen them in I don't know how long now, but I have no one. I mean, I have the solicitors when I'm able to sell something to raise money for them to come out, but I'm pretty poverty. I mean, I'm getting evicted from the house for non-payment of rent as well, so, you know, I don't care anymore.
The only thing I could do, Mr. Murphy, is really sort of express your concerns to the health coaches. You've spoken to the health coaches before.
Was it Lisa, if I've got the name? I mean, the trouble is, but I lose track of everything, you know. But my solicitor, the co-solicitor, is called Lisa, so I don't know if I've just got that name stuck in my head from yesterday or not. But it was a very nice lady whomsoever I spoke to.
Lucy.
Yeah, she was a lovely lady, a health coach. What a strange job title, you know.
Because I do need to free up the lines in reception. I'm going to see if Lucy is available for you, all right?
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I haven't spoken to a human being, apart from my solicitor, in weeks. I just kind of got carried away there. Thank you for your time. I'll shut up now.
Your call. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Hello, Mr. Murphy, it's Lucy speaking. How can I help today?
Well, hello, Lucy. One assumed from your tone you were preempted it was me. It was just a quickie, really. We conversed several weeks ago. You must excuse me, I'm now losing all my facial muscles, and only one side of my mouth works now, so speech is somewhat difficult. If we spoke, and I said I didn't wish to be anything to do with Queen Camel Medical Centre. I can't be anywhere where those vermin humans are too. And it seemed to me that we had an agreement that I would be removed from the books over that weekend, is my recollection. I don't know where the film of it is. It's possibly on my laptop. I will dig out the video of it later just to confirm that I was accurate. But today I have received some letter from cardiology at Yeovil Hospital castigating me for not going to an appointment I knew nothing about. They don't seem to realize that people who can't open their mail probably won't turn up for appointments, where was I? And I was, in the letter is not even addressed to me. My solicitor has been around, thankfully, to do the will, and he sorted out 4 months' worth of mail for me. No, how long ago was April? Must have been longer than 4 months. And this is there. And it's addressed to the doctors at Queen Camel Medical Centre on the 30th of August. So that post-dates my my divorce from Queen Camel Medical Centre, my on the record. So, and the lady the nice lady on reception, again has confirmed that I'm still on the books, and I don't wish to be on the books. You've nothing to do with me. By you, I mean the entity, Queen Camel Medical Centre, not any individuals.
Yes, and that's what you made clear. What we need, Mr. Murphy, is if you're able to register with another practice, then that is how you will be removed from our list here.
That's not my understanding. There is no legal requirement for me to be registered at any GP surgery whatsoever, and I don't want or need to be registered at any GP surgery. I not only lost the use of my legs now, my face is going, I can't eat, I'm incontinent, I've just left here to die. The only time I see a human being is when I'm able to sell something on Gumtree and pay for the solicitor to come out, so I don't need a GP surgery, so I just renounce it. Just write not at this address or something. There's no legal requirement for me to be registered at a GP surgery, then registering at a GP surgery to get rid of you people is immaterial. I don't need to do it. I certainly don't want those vermin humans being forewarned about what might be coming their way through my solicitors, so you just have to find some way to do it within those parameters. It is physically impossible for me to find another GP. If I had the ability to find a GP, I would go to the bathroom instead of peeing into a milk bottle.
Right. Are you receiving care at home still?
Still? What do you mean still, woman? I've not had one visit since 15th of February. I've just been left here to die. When they booted me out of the Oval Hospital, I kept complaining that they won't investigate me. I mean, this letter is pure fantasy. I'm trying to do a video recording of a rebuttal to it because, I mean, this Sutherland guy needs to be... I mean, it's just nonsense. I mean, look at it for yourself. I don't know how the NHS works. You're fantasists. I mean, he says... he was in hospital for 3 weeks receiving intensive physio. Well, I mean, in the discharge paper from the same hospital, it says that I declined, was their word. I declined all my physio. So I'm intrigued, Lucy. How does a man both receive intensive physio and yet decline all the appointments? By osmosis? Maybe they gave me some physio when I was asleep and not noticing it. Oh, he's asleep now, lads. He can't decline his physio. Let's go and give him some intensive physio. I mean, it's madness. I mean, by default, one or the other of them has made a fallacious report. Ergo, one is lying. Now, if you have to assume that you can't have liars in the NHS, then why isn't one of them being investigated and sacked? See, they always say, well, you're criticising us. No, I don't. I point out that you say A and Dr. over there says B. You can't both be right. So why are we paying you £100,000 a year? Well, not that there's not enough doctors in the NHS, there's too many bad ones, and you've only got to look at the 80 billion negligence bill for the year 2020 to see the proof there. My God, you could import 1,000 doctors for that kind of money. Anyway, let's not go into the wider accounts. What was your question, please, Lucy?
I was interested to know if you were receiving any care.
No, madam, no. Yes, I was saying, when they kicked me out of the Oval Hospital, I got to praise the discharge team. They did fight tooth and nail, and they couldn't believe it. They came back, and they said, well, we've spoken to Adult. I can see her now kneeling down by the side of the bed. What a lovely lady. And she said, I've never heard anything like it, Mr. Murphy. I said, no, please call me Paul. It's fine. And she said, Paul. She said, we spoke to them yesterday, and I've spoken to them now, and they've just told her there's no one. And I said, but it says on the records that he's due to be receiving care since February. And they said, that's right. And she said, I've never heard anything like it. They haven't found someone since February. So she'd arranged, she said, what we've got done, a lady called Sam Coates has arranged a rapid response team. Why did it have to be ours? Ours are very hard for me to say. And lo and behold, when I came out of the hospital on the 1st of August, I was going to get 2 visits a day because the dietitians were concerned about my nutrition, not being able to feed myself. The dietitian sends you these bottles, but when your fingers don't work, you can't open them. And there's a whole day's food in them, They're these Nutrigen, I don't know what they're called. But they've reduced me to tears sometimes, Lucy, trying to open them. You go within a year from weightlifting and jogging to bursting into tears in the kitchen because you can't take the silver foil off. Your fingers don't work. And then you try and it spills everywhere. And that's I think it's 2 a day. So, well, that's half of it. You just give up. You think, I can't. You do a profit and loss on what is the frustration level, as long as one can get fluid in, As I say, the incontinence is seeped in. But then they stopped coming. The first day they were out, Lucy, I tell you this as an outsider, I would tell you this if we were talking in a queue in Tesco at the moment. The fact that you are in the job you are, I was in material. So Sam Coates went on and crossing her telephone number out so I could never ever contact her, although I'd only found that out 2 weeks ago. And the team came out, and God bless them, they brought me in water. Oh, the only good thing about being in your hospital, I could wash again, Lucy. They brought me water, and I was able to wash again. It was so nice to be clean, and to have a hot drink, because they could put it in a sippy cup, because I scolded myself so many times on that blasted kettle dropping the hot drink. Where was I going with this? And the very first, and I said, well, I'm puzzled why you're here. I said, your name, Rapid Response, would seem to indicate that you're more of an, a sort of emergency service. My goodness, she launched into such a tirade on me. Yes, we shouldn't be here, we shouldn't be doing this. Someone's been told, I've just come out of hospital after 3 weeks. No one, my commode, how can I word, had been left for 3 weeks during a heat wave. I could barely breathe, I just wanted someone to open a blasted window and take the fetid mess away, I didn't want to be castigated about it. I didn't call you out. Speak to whoever, don't have a go at me about it. The end is nearly in sight of this point. 2 visits a day for 3 days, and then it went down to 1 visit a day. Then they stopped giving me my medicine because the other people had moved it somewhere, because it was different people each day, and they couldn't find it. They only had 15 minutes to empty my urine bottle and the commode and everything. So, well, we'll find your medicine tomorrow and everything. Okay, well, and then they just stopped coming on Friday. A man came in at 10:32 a.m. Luckily, it's all on the room CCTV, and he refused to empty my urine bottle. He didn't empty the commode. He made me a warm drink, a hot drink, but he didn't stand there to hold it. So I just stayed there, And the plastic water bottles have got like a nipple on the top, so they're okay there. You only get a few. And the food he gave me, a 61-year-old man in my condition, was 1 ski yogurt, weight 140 grams, and it was 2 months, not 2 days, not 2 weeks, 2 months out of date. That's the NHS care for you. They give a man they know to have diverticulitis a 2-month out-of-date yogurt, and then they just never came again. They didn't tell me they weren't coming again. Do you remember Greyfriars Bobby, Lucy? That dog that sat on its master's grave for a decade? One felt like that on the Saturday, because the time was going. One knew that they would turn up between 8 and 11 a.m. And then 11 a.m. came along, and you thought, they're just running late, One tries to be magnanimous and all these things. the NHS has done a very good propaganda job of telling everyone how overworked they are for decades, and of course their charade is being seen through a lot. They never took account of the youth of today having social media, being able to photograph and film everything and send it to 100,000 people in 10 seconds. Anyway, and I was like Greyfriars Bobby. You would hear the cars driving past the house, and maybe that. You just wanted to wash, because it won't be graphic, one is dirty down below, and you got used to it after being in the hospital with those wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dietitians who were marvellous, certainly underpaid, and then at home, even though they had an attitude that would have given Attila the Hun a headache, some of them, and they can't be underpaid because they can afford to tattoo their entire bodies. Some had so many tattoos, I think they must have tattooed the inside of their skin as well. I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, you got used to it, you got spoilt, Over these long, many months, I've been used to being treated like I'm just garbage by the Hewinses and by the NHS doctors, not the nurses in the main and the porters. It's very strange, Lucy. Have you ever noticed the higher up the system you go, the nastier the people come? When you meet people coming off the coalface, the ratio out of every 100 nurses and porters and receptionists I've had contact with, maybe 98 have been exemplary, and 2, you hope that they get root canal surgery necessity. But when you get up to the upper echelons, it's completely inverted. Of every 100 doctors you meet, 2 are marvellous and throw you back to, your 1960s childhood, and other doctors and bounce you on their knees and stuff, and I suppose they can do that in this day and age. And the other 98, they should be thrown off a cliff or defenestrated would be even better. That's where they throw you up things. Well, actually, it's where they throw you out of windows. I'm thinking about one of my books. The short answer, no. They just left. They just never came back again. By the Sunday, I'd been used to it, so no, I've just been left. Eventually, I was able to find someone who bought one of my guitars, and that bought me a solicitor's visit, and so I've had something to eat the last couple of days. And yes.
Are you saying that you've been selling items so that you can pay for a solicitor to come and look after you?
Oh, no, I've been selling items. When I came out of the hospital, they were going to throw me out the house, Arlington, or Avery, whatever they're called now, because I hadn't paid the rent. Well, I've been in the hospital for 3... what I was doing up until then was, because I'm immobile, I used to call a taxi out, and I used to give him my card once a month, and he would go and buy me food. He would take that card to the post office, and he would pay the rent and the poll tax, because even though I had an income of nothing, because your Dr. Hewins, spit, Dr. Simon Hewins, check your records, I'm telling you everything that is true. I begged him for a definitive diagnosis on, I think it was the 31st of January and the 8th of February, so that I could claim some benefits. He refused. He didn't phone up and say, no, I refuse. He just didn't do it. When the DHSS finally came round in May, and I believe they contacted you around that time, and they said, well, I can't believe it. He just wouldn't tell us what it is. He said he's willing to write a note, but not to tell us what your condition is. They put it through, and so I got through all my life savings. You pay tax for 45 years, and then your entire life savings you have to spend on care because you can't. Here's another sidebar. After it became apparent, circa April, that they were not going to, there was going to be no carers coming, and I'm phoning up twice a week, bear in mind, asking we can't get anyone for a shortage in the industry. Well, also me, there's a shortage in the industry. You didn't tell me that in 1977 when I started paying for it. I said, well, look, the social worker, who's a family relative, told me on the telephone last night that I'm legally entitled to have my funding myself. Because I could find someone in the village who would come and feed me, or not feed me, would prepare food and sit with me, Lucy, to make sure I didn't choke on it, and just to hold the drink in my hands, so I didn't drop it and scold myself, and bring me in a bowl of water so I could, and then leave the room so I could wipe myself down below and stuff. But I didn't have any money left at this point. It had all gone. Taxi drivers, God knows what else. And they said to me, again, they record all these, Vicky Mulligan, and she says, well, Paul, she said, it means filling out some paper. Okay, so I'm sitting here in diarrhea for 3 days because you won't fill out a piece of paper? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, so no, I've been selling what I can to raise money to survive, and one of the things I needed to do, Lucy, was I needed to update my will, because I was a bit vulnerable. Someone in the village had been coming round and, should we say, ingratiating themselves with me. I didn't really know them, and the next thing I knew, I'd made them co-executive my will. But when I was in rural hospital, in a moment of clarity, I thought, well, hold on, if you don't even know someone's surname, maybe. So I had to change the solicitors and make a new will, really. Now, there's trouble with my children's ISAs. And but luckily people will buy £1,000 guitars for £126. And you know what? Because I couldn't walk off the sofa and do anything, you know what he did? Well, later on, because they're all stacked up in the front room to sell, and he'd stolen one of the microphones as well. So he not only had a bargain. Well, you don't realise how low human beings can sink. Have you ever seen the movie Zorba the Greek? I'm always reminded of that movie. I believe that my jaw is going to seize up any time soon, you see. So how do we proceed? Surely a verbal conversation is, has got to be sort of some kind of legal, relevant submission, if one is, as I say, and the internet is quite clear that there's no legal requirement to have a GP. To be honest, Hewins has never been my GP. All he did was say, no, I'm stopping your morphine, so you can't get any REM sleep, ha ha ha, we'll teach you to upset us. There you go. So very strange. People go on about mental calmness and stuff, and then make sure you don't take away the only medicine that ensured you could get more than 90 minutes sleep. Or so we'll continue to update in the paracetamol when he knows that my liver is dodgy. Why is my liver dodgy? Well, actually, I'm not allowed to talk to you people about that. There's a story for another headline, one hopes. So how do we proceed? I just don't want anything to... you're very nice, Lucy, whoever I spoke to on the, as I say, receptionist, but I can't be having anything to do. The Hewinses are a stain on my soul, and they know why. They know they drove my wife to terminate my baby in 2017 with their heinous actions. Had they just told us what was in that report when they received it, I think they received it on the 8th of October, didn't they? And we got it when? The 10th of December. So no, Mr. Murphy's not mentally ill in any way, shape or form. He's one of the sanest people we've ever seen. And we're a bit late then. My babies were dead by then. So I just don't want... they are still, like I say, they're a stain on my mind that needs to be erased with spot remover. I thought we'd have done that. So how can we do that so we don't have to go through these long, elaborate calls any longer?
So that you're no longer contacted by the surgery?
Well, I've not been contacted as far as I know. Well, I thought it was a bit strange I was getting text messages about flu vaccines. I just thought that was like a standing order text or anything, God, the flu is the least of my worries, it's kind of you to ask about my care, Lucy, but when I transferred from Preston Grove to you guys, and I said to Dr. Hewins, Dr. Sangani is trying to arrange daily care for me since August, but they haven't contacted me yet. Can you do something, please? He flat out refused. So, so that's...
I mean, obviously it's hard for me. I'm not able to speak about individual incidents that I wasn't, involved in, which is obviously... that I wasn't involved in. That wouldn't be my place. But certainly, I hope that you can perhaps allow the notion that the surgery feel a duty of care towards you.
That's so facetious. That was involuntary, and I'm so sorry. But I mean, I mean, the only person in the doctor's side that ever showed any hint of care to me was a fellow called Jones, who everyone in the village, I must say, praises to the nines. Dr. Hewins they hate because, of course, when I thought I was dying in November, I gave him all those photographs of the abuse that my son was suffering at the hands of his mother up in Peterborough, all the broken toes and starvations and being locked in the house and everything. And Hewins refused to have anything to do with it. I said, look, if anything happens to me, make sure this goes. And he sent it back unopened, saying, well, they're not my patients. Oh, so well, now we know a baby pee happened then, so... As I said to everyone in the village, I mean, if he was walked by that, no, it wasn't, there's a dietitian I said it to, and she agreed with me as well. By that definition, if he's walking down Yeovil High Street and he sees a 7-year-old boy being punched in the mouth by his mother thug drug-dealing boyfriend, Dr. Hewins would go, oh, if only that boy was my patient, I would intervene. But as it is, I would just whistle to myself and walk on merrily, thinking of my £1 million pension pot, or however much GPs get as a pension pot these days. But I didn't open the letter when it came back. I called 3 people up from the village, and I said, you open that and have a look what's inside. Dr. Hewins' reputation died there and then, because wildfires don't go out. On my poor son there with his broken toe smashed to pieces. She hadn't even wiped the dry blood off after 3 days. I don't single out not intubated. I showed the same photograph on Zoom to Peterborough Family Court, and I also showed the judge. Let's get it all on record. Let's get it all out in the open, what a nasty, putrid country this has become. And the judge said, well, I expect to see bruises on a boy his age. Really? Well, how come Emily hasn't got any then? How come he never had a bruise in 8 years when I was his sole parent? So then I showed the judge a picture of my son, his mouth, and I said,